girl Jedi, Empress Jedi. By the way, I'm so sorry that this. Let me see something. Let me try something YouTube. Let me try something YouTube. See if I can get a better. There, that's better for you. Sorry. That's it. Yeah, I'm out of shower. I mean, the shower. Okay, now let's see if for real, I need to be a good person and go get my little table. But for you guys was going to do it. But okay. Now typically Facebook's waiting on YouTube to be ready, but today let's get some stuff going here. All right, looks like we're rolling. Shalom, Grand Rising, everybody. If there's any Muslims watching, a blessed Juma to you, TGIF. For those of you who Friday is a thing and it's your last day of the work week, y'all be glorified, magnified, and praised. I'm Jedi, Empress Jedi, the Rabble Rouser, coming at you from Black and Lightainment. You are tuning into the morning session. So grab your tea, roll your blunt, whatever you do in the morning. We're going to read some scripture this morning, guys. So while you go get yourself together, I'll give you about 2 minutes or so because I'm going to do some Facebook invites. So YouTube, you're just going to have to bear with us. Nobody ever comes to YouTube anyway, but that's okay. Let's assume that someday somebody on YouTube will watch this. All right. It's been a few days, Facebook, since we've been live. I don't even know if Facebook's going to let me do this. It's been not letting me do my lives. And maybe it's because I need to organize the content that's already out there. I've got years of teachings on Facebook and YouTube, although a lot of old stuff from Facebook is probably gone because I don't know that I've always been hitting that keep forever. I think sometimes I've been hitting 30 days or before that. I don't know if they just archive your stuff forever or whatever. But in any case, I've got to organize the content. Thinking I'm going to go ahead and do a Udemy University. I've got plenty of hours of teaching, so praying that the Most High will send a partner who can help video edit so that they can be more, just a little more presentable. But I'm really excited about that. So let's do a few more of these invites. We want to give people the opportunity, especially since I haven't been on in a while. It switches up your whole algorithm so the people that have been coming in, they may not be getting the notification now because you know how Facebook plays. You fall off for a couple of days, you don't exist anymore. Shalom, Grand Rising. I see somebody's in the room here on Facebook side. I can't see who you are yet though, but thanks for joining such an early morning. I want to get in and get it done this morning because I'm getting so busy, guys. Y'all know I'll be busy, but I'm so busy. But I was enjoying, and I know that you all were enjoying reading from the scriptures, going beyond the Bible, which this is a session, a going beyond the Bible morning session. We do all different stuff here on the morning session, but I think the going beyond the Bible is definitely a favorite. People like to hear from Black Love Matters, but yeah, it's okay. It's fun. It's cute. We do enjoy that, but it is really powerful to read from these scriptures that the church said you don't need, that all the forefathers of our faith, this is the stuff they were working with, right? And then today we're actually reading this scripture called the life of Saint Issa. And for those of you that don't know, Issa is Yeshua. So we'll read some of that. Of course, it's not something that the church approved. All of these scriptures that I've been reading from lately are stuff that the church forbid you to ever lay your eyes on, um, which is interesting, because the Most High tells us not to learn the ways of the heathens, not even to lay our eyes on it. And so they use that truth that the Most High told us that to have us only study the ways of the heathens and not to study the ways of Yah, because they have claimed Yah legacy. So everything's backwards. If you read Revelations and End Times, one thing you will know is everything's backwards in this age. So when you read the Bible and Bible commentary and you go to seminary, you're actually not learning the ways of Yah, you're learning the ways of the heathens. In order to learn the ways of Yah, you've got to leave the church and go beyond their teachings and dig deep, go to the source so that you can find the richness, right? Okay, let's do this. Hi, everybody. Hi. All right, looks like we lost our one Facebook person, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the scripture. And people to get it. People to it's okay too. Everybody get around to it. Uh-oh. Oh, guys, this is so troublesome. There we go. All right. So, Shalom and Grand Rising. This is the life of Issa. I'm not going to make it long this morning. And we'll see where we end up in about 20 or 30 minutes or so. Okay. Excuse me. The earth is trembled and the heavens have wept because of the great crime which has been committed in the land of Israel. For they have tortured and they're put to death the great and just Issa, in whom dwelt the soul of the universe, which was incarnate in a simple moral in a simple moral in order to do good to men and to exterminate their evil thoughts, in order to bring back mankind, which has been degraded by his sins, to a life of peace, love, and happiness, and to call him back to the one and invisible Creator, whose mercy is infinite and without bounds. Hear what the merchants from Israel related to us on this subject. The people of Israel who dwell on a fertile soil, giving forth 2 crops a year, and who possess large flocks, had by their sins aroused the anger of Yahweh, who inflicted upon them a terrible chastisement by taking from them their land, their cattle, and their possessions. Israel was reduced to slavery by the powerful and rich pharaohs who then reigned in Egypt. These treated the Israelites worse than animals, burdening them with difficult tasks and loading them with chains. They covered their bodies with whelps and wounds without giving them food or permitting them to dwell beneath a roof, to keep them in a state of continual terror, and to deprive them of all human. Oh, sorry, Facebook. I didn't mean to be showing you almost. I had no itch. And to deprive them. I'm sorry. Let's go back. They treated the Israelites worse than animals, burdening them with a difficult task and loading them with chains. They covered their bodies with whelps and wounds without giving them food or permitting them to dwell beneath the roof, to keep them in a state of continual terror and to deprive them of all human resemblance. And in a great calamity, the people of Israel remembered their heavenly protector, and addressing themselves to him, they imported his grace and mercy. An illustrious Pharaoh then reigned in Egypt, who had made himself famous by his numerous victories. The riches he gained had piled up, and there were vast palaces. Why am I playing, y'all? Why do I be playing? Excuse me. An illustrious Pharaoh then reigned in Egypt, who had made himself famous by his numerous victories. The riches he gained had piled up, and there were vast palaces, which his slaves had erected for him with their own hands. This Pharaoh had 2 sons, of whom the younger was called Moses. Learned Israelites taught him diverse sciences. Learned Israelites taught him diverse sciences. Moses was a scientist taught by Israelites. Okay. And they loved Moses in Egypt for his goodness and the compassion which he showed to all those who suffered, seeing that in spite of the intolerable sufferings they were enduring, the Israelites, uh, I'm sorry, seeing that in spite of the intolerable sufferings they were enduring, the Israelites would not abandon their God to worship those made by the hand of man, which were gods of the Egyptian nation. Moses believed in their invisible God because he did not let their failing strength give way. And the Israelites' teachers excited the passion of Moses, and he had conversations with him, praying him to intercede with the Pharaoh, his father, in favor of their fellow believers. When the prince Moses went to his father, begging him to make better the fate of these unfortunates, but Pharaoh became angered against him and only augmented the torments endured by his slaves. It happened that a short time after a great evil visited Egypt. The pestilence came to decimate both young and the old, the weak and the strong, and Pharaoh believed this was because his own gods were turning against him. But the prince Moses told his father that it was God of his slaves who was interceding in favor of these unfortunates. Grand Rising Queen, we're reading. Oh, look at Facebook trying to fall away. We're reading from the life of Issa. And did you get your book? Did you get your copy yet? So we're reading from the life of Issa, and we're at verse 14. No, we're at verse 12. Then Prince Moses went to his father, begging him to make better the fate of the unfortunates, but Pharaoh became angered against him and only augmented the torments endured by his slaves. It happened that a short time later, a great evil visited Egypt. The pestilence came to decimate both young and old, but the weak and the strong, and Pharaoh believed this was because his own gods were turning against him. But Prince Moses told his father that it was Yahweh of his slaves. It was the God of the slaves who was interceding in favor of these unfortunates in punishing the Egyptians. Then the Pharaoh then gave Moses his son an order to take all the slaves of the Jewish race to conduct them outside the town and to found at a great distance from the capital another city where he should dwell with them. Moses then made known to the Hebrew slaves that he had set them free in the name of their God, the God of Israel, and he went out with them from the city and from the land of Egypt. He led them into the land they had lost by their many sins. There. Oh, okay, wonderful. I'm on page 557. Queen. Sorry, these glasses they're bifocals, so like this top part I can only see far. So then when I'm trying to see you, I'm gonna read it like close. So I'll be like, that's me trying to see through my glasses. So I'll give you a second. Just let me know when you get there. I'll wait for you. Page 557. In the meantime, I'll handle a couple of things while we're waiting on Sister Teresa to open up. Give her a moment to grab a book. I'll have some turmeric water. It's missing lime. Oh, she's got it. Excellent. I really do try to keep it real with the lime and turmeric. It's good stuff. Good for the body, good for the urinary tract. So, but then we ran out of lime last night, so I'm like, oh, cuss word. So now it's just the turmeric, and at this point, I'm accustomed to the taste. So it's like it's not even bothersome to me. I mean, turmeric's not a terrible taste. It's just really earthy, and I like earthy taste. So, all right, Sister Teresa, we're at the land. Okay, let's go to verse 17 or line 17. He led them to the land they had lost by their many sins. There Moses gave them laws and enjoined them to pray always to the invisible Creator whose goodness is infinite. On the death of Prince Moses, the Israelites rigorously observed the laws, wherefore God made amends and rewarded them for the ills to which he had exposed them in Egypt. Their kingdom became the most powerful of all the earth. Their kings made themselves famous for their treasures and a long peace reigned among the people of Israel. Chapter 2, or chapter 3. Sorry. The glory the glory of the riches of Israel spread throughout the earth and made neighboring nations envious. For the Most High himself led the victorious arms of the Hebrews, and the pagans dared not attack them. Unhappily, as man is not always true to himself, the fidelity. Oh, hey, Sister Robin, we're reading the life of Saint Issa, which is what a lot of Eastern people call Yeshua. They call him Issa. So this is a forbidden tale of Issa that the church said you don't need that. Nobody needs that. We've got you. Just talk to Paul. So, all right, sorry. Good to see you in here, Sister Robin. So where were we? So the glory of riches of Israel spread throughout the earth and made neighboring nations envious. For the Most High himself led the victorious arms of the Hebrews, and the pagans dared not attack them. Unhappily, as man is not always true to himself, the fidelity of the Israelites to their God did not last long. They began by forgetting all the favors which he had heaped upon them, seldom invoking his name, and sought the protection of magicians and sorcerers. Ooh, let me make a note there. We got to come back to that, y'all. We got to come back to that there. See, this is how I smoke. This is why I use up lighters all the time, because I don't smoke enough to keep it going. I hit it all little and then I wait too long to hit it again. So like I have to light the blunt all the time. So we're gonna highlight this because we got to come back to that one. We got to talk about that. They began forgetting all the favors which he had heaped upon them, seldom invoked his name, and sought the protection of magicians and sorcerers. The kings and the captains substituted their own laws for those which Moses had written down for them. The temple of Yahweh and the practice of worship were abandoned. The people gave themselves up to pleasure and lost their original purity. Several centuries had elapsed since their departure from Egypt when Yahweh determined to exercise once more his chastisements upon them. Strangers began to invade the land of Israel, devastating the country, ruining the villages, and carrying the inhabitants into captivity. And there came at one time pagans from the country Romulus. On the other, it's the birth, so it's somewhere in Rome. On the other, it says the birthplace of Romulus, modern day Rome. On the other side of the sea, they subdued the Hebrews and established among them military leaders who, by delegation from Caesar, ruled over them. They destroyed the temples. Keep in mind, Rome from Israel is on the other side of the sea, right? Just keep that in mind. Okay. Just plant that in your brain that, yeah, anyway. We might not revisit it today because that's kind of a whole other thing, but I did make a note, and I just want you to make a mental note too. They subdued the Hebrews and established among them military leaders who, by delegation from Caesar, ruled over them. They destroyed the temples, they forced the inhabitants to cease worshiping the invisible God, and they compelled them to sacrifice victims to the pagan deities. They made warriors of those who had been nobles. The women were torn away from their husbands, and the lower classes were reduced to slavery and were sent by thousands beyond the seas. So, Grand Rising, girl. What a joy to see you in here with us. What a joy. Always a pleasure when the prophets show up. So we're reading from the book of the life of Saint Issa soul. So they subdued the Hebrews and established among them military leaders who, by delegation from Caesar, ruled over them. They destroyed the temples, they forced the inhabitants to cease worshiping the invisible God, and they compelled them to sacrifice victims to the pagan deities. They made warriors of those who had been nobles. The women were torn away from their husbands, and the lower classes were reduced to slavery and were sent by thousands beyond the seas. As to the children, They were put to the sword. Soon in all the land of Israel nothing was heard but groans and lamentations. In this extreme distress, the people remembered their God, and they implored his grace and besought him to forgive them. And our Father, in his inexhaustible mercy, heard their prayer. It was at this time that the moment came when the all-merciful judge elected to become incarnate in human being, and the eternal spirit dwelling in the state of complete inaction of the supreme beatitude awoke and detached itself for an indefinite period from the eternal being. This was done to show forth in the guise of humanity the means of self-identification with divinity and of attaining to eternal joy, and to demonstrate by example how man may attain moral purity, and by separating his soul from its mortal coil, the degree of perfection necessary to enter into the kingdom of heaven, which is unchangeable and where happiness reigns eternal. Soon after, a marvelous child was born in the land of Israel, God himself speaking, Yahweh himself speaking by the mouth of this infant of the frailty of the body and the grandeur of the soul. The parents of the newborn child were poor people belonging by birth to a family of noted piety who, forgetting their ancient grandeur on earth, praised the name of the Creator and thanked him for the ills which he saw fit to prove them. To reward them for not turning aside from the way of truth, Yahweh blessed the firstborn of his family. He chose him for his elect and sent him to help those who had fallen into evil and to cure those who suffered. The divine child, to whom was given the name Issa, began from his earliest years to speak of the one and invisible Yahweh. He exhorted the souls of those gone astray to come to repentance and the purification of the sins which they were culpable. People came from all parts to hear him, and they marveled at the discourses proceeding from this childish mouth. All the Israelites were of one accord in saying that the eternal spirit dwelled in this child. When Issa had attained the age of 13 years, which is the period of life when an Israelite should take a wife, the house where his parents earned their living by carrying on a modest trade began to be a place of meeting for rich and noble people who were desirous of having the young Issa for a son-in-law, for he was already famous for his edifying discourse in the name of the Almighty. Then it was that Issa left the parental house in secret, departing from Jerusalem with the merchants set out towards Sind. This is a province of southeastern Pakistan, with the aim of perfecting himself in the divine word and of studying the laws of the great Buddhas. In the course of his 14th year, the young Issa, blessed Yahweh, came on this side of Sind and established himself among the Aryans, the northern India, in the land beloved of Yahweh. Fame spread the reputation of this marvelous child throughout the length of northern Sind, and when he crossed the country of 5 rivers of Rajputana, and this is an area northwest of the Arawali Range, including part of the Great Indian Thar Desert. These were devotees of the god Jain, and they prayed Issa to dwell among them. But he left the erring worshippers of Jain and went to Juggernaut in the country of Orisha, where repose the mortal remains of Vyasa Krishna, and where the white priest of Brahma made him a joyous welcome. Now, all right, I'm going to go on. They taught him to read and understand the Vedas, to cure by aid of prayer, to teach, to explain the holy scriptures to the people, and to drive out evil spirits from the bodies of men, restoring them to their sanity. Ooh, this thing's rich. Rich, right? Restoring them to their sanity. He passed 6 years at Juggernaut, at Rajagriha, at Benares, and in other holy cities. Everyone loved him, for Issa lived in peace with the Vyasas. And the Vyasas are a member of the third of the 4 Hindu castes, comprising the merchants and the farmers. The Sudras, a member of the worker caste, lowest of the 4 Hindu classes, whom he instructed in the Holy Scriptures. But the Brahmas, a member of the highest Hindu class, that of the priesthood, and the Kshatiras, a member of the second of the 4 great Hindu castes, the military caste. The traditional function of the Kshatriyas is to protect society by fighting in wartime and governing in peacetime. Hallelujah. They told him that they were forbidden by the great power of Brahma to come near to those whom he had created from his side and his feet, that the Vyasas were only authorized to hear the reading of the Vedas, and this on festival days, and that the Sudras were forbidden not only to assist at the reading of the Vedas, but also from contemplating them, for their condition was to serve in perpetuity as slaves to the Brahmas. The Kshatriyas and even the Vyasas. Death can only set them free from their servitude, has said Parabrahma. Leave them then and come and worship with us, the gods, who will become very angry against you if you should disobey them. But Issa listened not to their discourses and went to the Sudras, piercing against the commandments of the Brahmas and the Kshatriyas. He spoke and preached against the act of a man claiming to himself the power to deprive his fellow beings of their rights of humanity. For he said, Yahweh the Father makes no difference between his children. All to him are equally dear. Issa denied the divine origin of the Vedas and the Puranas. The Vedas are the scriptures and the Puranas are the written legends and folklore. For he taught his followers a law has already been given to man to guide him in his actions, which are: fear your Elohim, bend the knee before him only, and bring to him alone the offerings which proceed from your gains. Issa denied the Trimurti, the trinity of Brahmas, the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer, and the incarnation of Parabrahma in Vishnu, Siva, and other gods. For he said, the judge eternal, the eternal spirit, comprehends the one and invisible soul of the universe, which alone creates, contains, and vilifies all. And then there's this author note here that inasmuch as Jesus' closest disciple John, or Yeshua's closest disciple John, begins his gospel with a quote from the Vedas, in the beginning was the word, the authenticity of this passage may be questioned. Okay, so they're saying that whatever, we're not going to get into that because that's going to take us down a whole other rabbit hole. He alone was willed and created. He alone has existed since all eternity, and his existence will have no end. He has no equal either in the heavens or on earth. The great creator has not shared his power with any living being, still less with inanimate objects, as they have taught to you, for he alone possesses omnipotence. He willed it, and the world appeared. In a divine thought, he gathered together the waters, separated from them the dry portion of the globe. He is, and that does say globe, so that's interesting. I like to take note of how often in scripture you get evidence of a globe or evidence of a flat earth. There's like so much evidence in scripture for both. I find it interesting. But the flat earth and the globe do fit together, because if you think of a snow globe, it's flat on the bottom, and so that's where everything's happening, and then that glass top would be the globe. So the idea of a global flat earth is actually a sound concept, but we're not going to get into all that. That's just interesting that was there. Where was I? He will, the world appears separate from the dry principle portion of the globe, and he is the principle of the mysterious existence. I'll go back. He willed it, and the world appeared in a divine thought. He gathered together the waters, separating from them the dry portion of the globe. He is the principle of the mysterious existence of man, in whom he has breathed a part of his being. And in subordinate to and he has subordinated to man the earth, the waters. He has subordinated to man the earth, the waters, the beasts, and all that he's created, and that he himself preserves in immutable order, fixing for each thing the length of its duration. The anger of Yahweh will soon be let loose against man, for he has forgotten his creator. He has filled his temples with abominations. And he worships a collection of creatures which Yahweh has made subordinate to him. For to do honor to stones and metals, he sacrifices human beings, in whom dwells a part of the spirit of the Most High. He humiliates those who work by the sweat of their brow in order to acquire the favor of an idol person seated in his sumptuous table. Ooh-wee. Those who deprive their brethren of divine happiness shall be deprived of it themselves. The Brahmas and the Kshatriyas shall become the Sudras, and the Sudras, the eternal Yahweh, shall dwell. And with the Sudras, the eternal Yahweh shall dwell everlastingly. That, my friends, is the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So he was over there telling the Buddhas this, right? Telling the Buddhists this when he was a child. Well, not a child, but a young man, right? Because in the days of the last judgment, the Sudras and the Vyasas, the two lowest classes, will be forgiven much because of their ignorance, while Yahweh, on the contrary, will punish with his wrath those who have usurped to them his rights. The Vyasas and the Sudras were filled with great admiration and asked Issa how they should pray so as not to lose their eternal joy. Worship not the idols, for they hear you not. Listen not to the Vedas, for their truth is counterfeit. Never put yourself in the first place, and never humiliate your neighbor. Help the poor, support the weak, do ill to no one, and covet not that which you have not, and which you see belongs to another. And we'll leave that reading there at 31:23. That was good. Good little marker. Okay, so there's a lot of richness in there, right? There's so much in there. So much in there. Now, I have known for a long time, and some of you as well, that our Yeshua, first of all, even from a baby, he was a really wild cat, right? He was like miraculous. There's stories all throughout Africa where there's all these old churches. And there was this one church placed over this place where they stayed, because I think he was about 3 years where they kind of wandered around after his birth before they settled somewhere. And so where they stayed are all these markers where Yeshua and Joseph and Mary, where they traveled. And those places where they lived are churches throughout the ancient world, if you will, right? Africa and all around over there. And so one interesting one I thought was cute. When he was a baby, they used to take his soiled diapers and you could heal with them because his anointing is in his fluids, right? Like his body fluids are powerful. And so people would come and would, like, if somebody was sick and was like near death or something, they would come and ask for a diaper and they would, like, wipe the diaper on the person or put the diaper on the person and it would heal them, right? Yeah, deep. So he grew up it wasn't like his public ministry, I guess you could chronicle from his 30s, but he went all around the world, guys, before we hear about him showing up in what we know of the New Testament. Like, he went all around the world kicking it with the mystics and the religious leaders and the spiritual leaders. He went all around the world kicking it with them. And what he would do is he would help them perfect their doctrine. Now, they didn't want to listen because he was always perfecting their doctrine to dethrone the powerful, right? But those who accepted his doctrine were blessed by it, right? They were able to look at the way that they were relating to the spirit realm and correct their behavior, and the way that they were looking at the natural realm. But how you relate to the natural realm depends on how you relate to the spiritual realm. So if you have false spiritual understanding, you can't possibly have natural understanding, right? And so Yeshua was, but his teachings are always the same. Like, it's not all this weird high-minded stuff that the church wants you to have to go to college and figure out. Like, Yeshua's teachings were very simple, right? He willed it and the world appeared. That goes back to wisdom, Yep. Yeah. Yep. Verse 18. Yep. So, so I wanted to go back and talk about. Okay, so on chapter 3, the glory of the riches in the beginning, 1 to yeah, I'm just going to read 1 through 4, I think, Teresa, real quick, right? Let's touch on that. The glory of the riches of Israel spread throughout the earth and made neighboring nations envious. For the Most High himself led the victorious armies of the Hebrews, and the pagans dared not attack them. Unhappily, as man is not always true to himself. What do I tell you guys you must first do before you can walk out a righteous path? You must walk in authenticity. Authenticity, guys, right? So, as man is not always true to himself, the fidelity of the Israelites to their God did not last long, right? You have to remain authentic. Mwah. Love you, Robin. Oh, I guess she's gone already, right? So because they were inauthentic, they want to be like other people. They want to forget what made them distinct, unique, and special. And what made them distinct, unique, and special was the favor of the Most High. And what the reason they had the favor of the Most High was because they actually did what He said to do. When you're authentic, you're able to interface on a real level with the Most High, and He's able to minister to you and keep you in line, right? But pretense blocks that process. So I just wanted to touch in on that little piece about authenticity, right? And then what else was the other thing? So when he went into India as a young, first of all, remember he's traveling with merchants, right? So when they say, well, we don't know where Yeshua was for the lost years, or or the mystery years, there was no mystery years. This is why I tell you guys, you've got to um, really understand that you can find Yeshua's teachings in all of these ancient spiritual systems, because he went to these places. And where you have like, okay, this sect of those believe this, and this sect believe that, or this denomination of those believe this, and this denomination of those believe that. And then what you can do is, if you want to do that kind of thing, I mean, what you can do is you can find and trace the movements of Yeshua by finding where those wayward spiritual beliefs split, and then you have concepts come in that you see the master taught, right? So when you see a group of spiritualists, if you will, right, a spiritual school, when you see it split, and then the way that it splits is wealthy people, like the wealthy and the powerful, are being called to share their power, where the idols, right? You stop worshiping idols, and you come out of materialism, because you need to understand, when we say worshiping idols, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of us think that worshiping idols is where you go in and you ask your idol to make you to do something for you, and you pray to your idol and things like that. We don't understand what it looks like now. But what it looks like now is materialism, right? Materialism, capitalism is how we worship idols, right? And a way maybe I can help see that is like, if you believe that having an expensive cell phone, like if having a cheap cell phone or having an expensive cell phone impacts your sense of self-worth, impacts your sense of um, belonging, impacts your sense of, now you feel more successful, right? If you believe that wearing certain expensive clothing is going to open up doors for you, if you believe any of those things where you're placing materialism, right? Material gain, material wealth, you think that is the waymaker for you. You think that is the door opener for you. Even your job can be an idol. If you believe your job provides for you, your job is an idol. Your job does not provide for you. The Most High provides for you. He can take the job and you, right? And so, because if you believe that your job is your provider, then you'll think that you're more godly than a person who doesn't have a job. Because obviously, I'm more godly. I have a job, and my job's my provider. You won't understand that that person who doesn't have a job could be very much walking in their purpose, right? And probably is, right? Or maybe at least there's a 50% chance. But if employment is an idol to you, you can't imagine that there are people without employment who are righteous, right? This is how idols come up, right? That's how the idols come up. And so what you can find is, if you are looking at these other spiritual systems and you're like, well, there's a lot of good and they're weird, some of them are this, some of them are that, right? First thing is understand that they came from, that they're not lying when they say, when you read the Bhagavad Gita and it talks about those gods coming down and the war in the skies and this and that, like, that all happened, right? So they were dealing with the same reality that we hear about in the Old Testament. Like, it was all over the realm, and people journaled these things where angels and demons and other beings from other realms were interfacing and teaching folks stuff. And some of them were teaching folks waywardness, right? And so Yeshua was going around and trying to reroute everybody, right? He was doing that all around when he was a little kid and when he was coming up, all the way up until he hit where we find him in the Bible. But you can find them, like those lost years, you can find them all over the place. And like they tell you, he came, he was like this miracle worker. He was all deep. He flipped everything upside down. He hung out with the poor people and he smoked blunts and stuff. He had like, the women loved him, and he didn't have any respect for like oppressors, and the one that walks in and everybody's having a good time, the little poor people are having a nice time, and in comes the mean sheriff and slapping people around and arresting people. I heard you got fines and all of this and that, and like that cat comes in and Yeshua's there, and Yeshua's like puts that cat in his place and sends him packing, right? He turned everything topsy-turvy, but he did not just do it in those little 5 minutes we hear about in the Bible, in them little 2-3 stories we hear about in the Bible. The man was alive on the planet. He was doing stuff, right? And so I just love to, I love when I discover his hand on people's, right? And that, guys, is why a lot of times people will say all religions like teach the same thing. Usually when people say that, what they're referring to is pure religion, which they do. They're going to have those same tenets of, being wise, being just, being kind, being grateful, right? I'm going to tell you that covetousness that is the modern age. Like, covetousness is taking so many out, like looking at what other people have and wanting it for yourself, like not just being authentic in yourself to decide what you yourself wants, right? So because you're not authentic in yourself and you know what you want, instead you're out here trying to get what that one has because they make that look good, or because someone told you that having that is the new standard. So now you've abandoned your authenticity, and now you're going to fall into all kinds of trouble. You're going to fall into a lot of trouble. But authenticity defends against covetousness, because I can authenticity and gratitude, right? Like, you got to remember to be grateful. If you're grateful for what you are, you're not covetous of other people's stuff. It doesn't matter. Like, if you have like me, I drive a Dodge Journey. That's not a super fly car. I mean, I like it. I love the car. Although I will say I'm really irritated with myself that I didn't go for the better model with all-wheel drive because I was being cheap. I wasn't being cheap because I paid too much a month for the car. My credit was crap and I had no money down. So I paid my car payment's already sky high. So in my trying to keep the payment low, I made a very foolish decision to get the trim that doesn't have the all-wheel drive. That was a mistake. Because like I don't know who told me I don't live where I live. Because have y'all seen my driveway? Like somebody help. But anyway, so I drive a Dodge Journey, and when I go down, like when I actually drive around, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of like really nice cars in this area. Like I don't know who told y'all what, but y'all better know Coatesville has already come up. That whole revitalization plan, no, they done revitalized Coatesville, honey. I see what the people driving stuff around, but they haven't gotten in town yet. They haven't scooped up downtown yet, and they're not gonna get it. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the people of Coatesville are going to do. But if the people of Coatesville really like press into the Most High and decide, no, we're going to do this the way we're supposed to. We're going to act like we're supposed to. We're going to be responsible for ourselves. We're going to be authentic. We're going to be modest. We're going to be hard workers, and we're going to enjoy the good life here. If the people embrace the good life here, they will not be able to gentrify downtown like they're planning. But you better know the 19320, the zip code, the greater Coatesville area. Yeah, like done deal, right? There's a lot of that gentrification thing has happened. So I say all that to say, I noticed all of these really expensive cars, right? These nice cars. And I like it. I love like, ooh, look at that one. You're not pointing out to the kids, ooh, that one's cute, right? Whatever. I'm an artist, so I like the artistry in machinery often. I like artistry in anything. So, I noticed that, right? But it doesn't make me want to now go trade my car in and upgrade because I want like that little cute Beamer, right? Them little BMW trucks they're hot. They're cute, right? Them MDXs, they ain't never been nothing wrong with them, right? They've been cute. But I like my Dodge Journey. And if only I had picked the correct trim, I would probably never want to get rid of it. But I picked the wrong trim. I definitely need all-wheel drive. So at some point, I'm going to have to break my own heart and get a different vehicle probably, right? But like I'm a person, I'll drive that thing till the wheels fall off. So like being authentic, understanding why I picked the car that I picked, understanding that when I didn't have that car, I cried out to the Most High and said, show me, I need some wheels. Show me where I'm going to get me a car with no money and no credit and poopy credit. And I know there's a way, and I know you're going to make it so I can afford it. And he said, okay, I got you. Right. And then I was looking and fell in love with the one I fell in love with. And, oh, it's lovely, guys. So yes, I love it. Oh, yay. Right. And I was hyped because I got to do Carvana, and that was great. That was fun. It was exciting. I feel like I did something, really unique and a sign of the times. I bought my car from a vending machine. That was cool. Yay. We went as a family and did it and took pictures. Yeah. Like there's all this whole story around the car that would give me reason to be grateful, so that when I pull up next to the Lexus and next to the Beamer and next to the Toyota and next to the whatever, like I can appreciate the beauty of those machines. But then when I get in my car or when I walk past my car, I don't feel any type of way. I feel like, yeah, that's right. And I chose this car. My car is cute. I like it. Right? I don't feel like ashamed if I pull in the lot and everybody has luxury cars and I pull into my car. Why would I feel ashamed and now I want a luxury car like them, right? Why do I want a luxury car like them? I saw the luxury cars that was out there when I was looking to purchase. I didn't ask the Father to give me a luxury car. If I'd wanted one, he would have given me the luxury car just like he gave me that. Because some would say that I didn't need that car. I definitely could have gotten a cheaper car than that if I was just like desperate for a car and just like, Father, I'll take any car. But that's not how I came to the Father. I was like, I want to keep it cute. I want to keep it practical. I need space. You know me. I'm finna pile it up. I'm finna do, Father. Right? So authenticity protects us from covetousness because we remember who we, hallelujah, we remember who we are, why we want the things that we want, why we're doing the things that we're doing, and we mind our own business, and then we allow other people in whatever station, position, and status they're in, where we can let them be them, right? We can let them be them. So yeah, but I like that reminder about authenticity, because I keep trying to tell you guys, it's not about trying to be like somebody else. Like, that's the big trick. Paul, I tell you, so tricky. Like, I don't know how many times, like, Paul tells you, just be like me, be like me, be like me. Like, we're not supposed to be like anybody. We're supposed to be like be like you, be like you. Look at your life. Look at what the Most High has done for you. Be grateful and walk out a way to show that gratitude by obedience, and watch how you live a good life. Listen, I'm not going to say I don't have no problems ever, but I got to tell you, like, and this is why I don't argue with people about Yeshua's legitimacy, right? I don't argue, because I once was blind, baby. I know a game changer. Like, my life was one thing, and then my life was another. Now, I've always had an exceptional life. I'm an exceptional person. I was born an exceptional person, right? It took me a while to figure out why. Why am I so exceptional? Why am I so weird? Why am I so other level all the time? Well, because I'm Empress Jedi Hestaba. That's something not common, right? But when I decided that I was going to be grateful and obedient, that I was going to show my gratitude through obedience, that was a game changer. That was a game changer in my life. I have lived a phenomenal life since then. It's like two different lives. The life before that was full of, even though it was still a really cool and exceptional life, it was full of all of these unnecessary traumas and all of these unnecessary losses, right? I'm talking about soul traumas, just like things that hit you in the gut and like, man, right? And then obedience to the Most High. He's like, there is an easy way. There is an easy way. The easy way is the right way. Just be authentic and kick it with me. And I put some laws down there to protect you from the things that are going to throw you off and have you back over there crying and depressed. That's why I tell people gratitude cures depression. I don't care what the scientists and the clinicians I don't care what nobody says. Gratitude cures depression. Suicide, real suicide, like not these people nowadays, I'm going to kill myself, all loud in front of everybody, and so you can run in and get them to the hospital. No. I'm talking about where you plan and quietly duck off, and then people find you. Okay? That is one generation behind me. My father's mother took her own life, right? My family is rife with that kind of depression, right? Those demons are all throughout this bloodline, and it is real. And if you don't think, there were times when this sister here was trying her darndest to come up out here, okay? You please need to know there was times when this sister here was ready to go from here, okay? I was ready to go. And the Most High pulled me out of it with gratitude. Like, oh, so this isn't good enough for you? That's not good enough for you, huh? And that ain't good enough for you either, huh? This ain't good enough for you. She's not. Oh, okay. That brain of yours, that ain't good enough for you. It's got to throw that away, right? Like on and on and on, right? Of all these things to be grateful for. My daughter, Bert, right? Bert don't know Bert's like one of my things, that gratitude for her, gratitude for the cool child that Zania was, right? Gratitude for the fact that I really was a person that in any given moment, you can take me down to zero, and it will not take me long to rebuild. That's why I don't ever care nothing about up and leaving everything behind, because baby, I'll rebuild that stuff. And like Yeshua say, destroy this temple and I'll rebuild it in 3 days. Give me 3 good days. That's all I need. We good. We gonna go. You know? But it's gratitude that drove that spirit away from me, because I learned to press in and be grateful for what I had and be grateful for the most high's hand. And so once you become grateful for what you have, you're able to see it in a different light. Instead of saying, oh, I don't have enough to do this, you say, well, this is what I do have. Oh, I know what I could do. Right? And this is the space that we're supposed to dwell in, right? So his simple commandments, when the 2 lower classes of India were asking him, right? So remember, the higher classes in India told Issa, don't talk to the low class people. Don't tell them these secrets. Now, they weren't even saying that he wasn't legitimate, like that he, in his correction of their spiritual reality, right? In telling them to stop, like, bowing down to idols and demons, like, literally stop this, right? And they were like, oh yeah, he's deep, he's right. But they didn't follow him, because along with that came the topsy-turvy power issue, right? The issue that says that just because you got all the stuff doesn't mean you're better. Just because you got all the stuff and you've got all the resources and you have all the connections and you have all the, you don't have the power. See, they didn't like that part, right? They didn't like the part that says that they don't correlate the way that they wanted them to correlate. Right? They're like, well, it's okay if you tell us that, just don't tell them that. So they wanted to be spiritually, like, they wanted to walk in spiritual enlightenment without giving up the social benefits. So therefore they wanted to withhold the spiritual enlightenment from the masses, just like Rome did, which is why the church is a synagogue of Satan. Right? They always want to keep the secrets to themselves and not share with the people those. Now listen, all secrets ain't for everybody. Yeshua talked in parables for a reason. However, you're supposed to share the secrets with the people that can help them to improve their condition. That's how you know if a secret's relevant to a people. Can this help them improve their spiritual and natural condition? Right? And so what you have with the case of Rome and what you had here in India at the time was they wanted to withhold the spiritual secrets that would improve the people's condition and only share those that would have them to stay in a state of low thinking of themselves, right? But I want to say that the word tells us that in this age, Yah is braiding together 3 nations. Right? And I always get them in the wrong order, but Egypt, Yah's people, Israel, Yah's inheritance, and Assyria, the work of Yah's hands. And I believe that Assyria in that is these Brahma, is that who are they? What are their names? The low class people in India, right? Because what they did, and I talk about this a little bit here and there, but maybe I should do a real investigation and teaching of it. But what they did was they dug Yeshua. These low class people dug Yeshua when he dropped the science on them. And so what it did was, even like that caste system still exists, right? It still exists. And they haven't risen up into, like, they have, I mean, now in this modern age, you've got America over there, like, you got the Western countries and stuff, like, you don't have to take this. You can be anything you want in life, right? You don't have to be a dishwasher just because your mother was a dishwasher and your grandmother was a dishwasher and her grandmother was a dishwasher and her grandmother was a dishwasher. I know you're the Dalit people and you're the low untouchables. You don't have to be, right? But it's taken a really long time for any kind of that movement to go down, because they internalize the teachings of Yeshua and they're just humble people. They're like, what's wrong with being a dishwasher? So what? Somebody has to pick up the garbage. What's wrong with being the garbage pickup guy? I don't mind being the garbage pickup guy. I like a simple job that I don't really have to get out. There's no drama. There's nothing. We get in the truck. We get the garbage. We, come on home. And we know we did a good service to humanity because the streets are clean, because we went out there and we cleaned the garbage. We're good. We're good here. We're great. We're living a wonderful, beautiful life. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with it. And so that group of people, they're a beautiful group to study the way that they've existed, because Westerners always want to do documentaries and make it like, oh, it must be so hard. And they always find the ones that want, better for themselves. But when you talk to the ones that don't, it's really beautiful. It shows that they dug what Yeshua was talking about, right? They are a whole class of people that, and this is what I was talking about the other day when I talked about knowing protocol in place. So understanding that if your divinity is not wrapped up in whether you do things that society during this time thinks are great, versus if you wrap your sense of divinity up in doing what is needed in society, right? You end up with two very different social realities, even though you might participate in the same roles. Like a person who places their value on, like, everybody wants to be a blogger, everybody wants to be a YouTube person, everybody wants a channel now, right? Everybody wants a platform, but everybody don't have something to say. It's like that, right? Like, just because you see other people having a platform and doing this, what do you have to say? Yeah, you want a platform now, but did you need a platform when there wasn't a platform? Like, if you weren't a speaker when there wasn't this stuff, you ain't a speaker now. Just because you can get a microphone having a microphone doesn't turn you into a speaker, but everybody believes having a microphone turns them into a speaker. So you've got, the airways are all clogged up with people that don't have anything really to say, just because they want to be out there, and because you know what I mean? It's like that, right? It's always chasing after what you think the next big thing is, rather than just being who you are, and then that'll be your big thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that authenticity piece and that topsy-turvy power structure thing, they don't like that, right? And that's why the church tells you that don't nobody know where Yeshua was, and nobody heard nothing about him, and we don't know where he was all them years. It's not true. It's not true. There's testimony of him all over the world. He traveled with the merchants all over the world. And please know that in that time, and in times far, far, far before that, our people were traveling all over the world. It wasn't like they want you to believe that, like, Israel, the story of Israel and all that happened in that little teeny piece of North America that they call the Middle East. You've got to be kidding me. No. These things happen all over the continent of Africa, all over the continent of Europe, all over the Americas, right? Yeshua was over here in the Americas. He was over here teaching in his lifetime. He was over here, right? I'm lying, I'm flying, right? And you can find those teachings. You can find those teachings. And it's beautiful because Yeshua comes in and, like, he enters into these people's reality. And I love the course correction. But then what I really love most about it is who you always see, who he chooses, who he'll go kick it with, right? He'll always go kick it with the people that's in the most vulnerable positions. Like, when you find Yeshua, you're going to find him amongst the vulnerable people, protecting and building them up and making them strong and giving them confidence in themselves, right? And knowing that the Most High dwells in you. You have a right to exist and thrive, right? And to do the will of your creator. Like, what's the point in being created if you're not going to do the will of the creator? Like, why you think the Most High keeps, like, balling us up? You got like a page, you know how they do on you writing something that's trash and throw it. Why you think the Most High keeps doing that with humanity? Isn't that what you do when you create something and it doesn't work like how you created it to work, you scrap it and you try again, right? Or maybe you keep some pieces of that, you tear off, like, all right, this didn't work. You tear it up, you tear it up, you tear it up, and you start again with, like, the few of the parts, but no, okay, that's pulley's not going to work, and this isn't going to. That's what you do. So, excuse me, but Yeshua shows us who everybody's so-called by the Most High. I don't know how people are called by the Most High and they don't somehow end up amongst vulnerable people doing work. How? What are you called to do? Go make rich people feel good about themselves? Help them get richer? Help mean people strengthen the hands of the wicked? That's why I know it's hard for people to hear this, but if you've got family in the military in these nations, fast and pray for them. Lay out sacrifices on behalf of them, repent on their behalf, because we're not supposed to strengthen the hand of the wicked. The last thing that the righteous should be doing is being the gun behind the agenda of the United States government. It is the last thing that any righteous person should be doing. Now, if the Most High sends you up in there so that you can aid the righteous, you're in there and now you know stuff, and now you're able to tell the people, listen, okay, to get ready to release the next such and such, right? So here's what you want to do. Okay, so they've got to shut down the water grid, right? You feed that information out to the people. That's one thing. But you in there, like, proud of your service to the United States and crying at the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. You all teared up. You just love your country. You what? But you said you follow Yah, but no, you can't. You can't, because that country is crushing Yah people, and all the precious, beautiful things of Yah, that country is smashing and grinding. And then you can't say, I serve Yah and I love this country. That's not how it goes, right? And I'm going to help it make sure it can smash out more little countries. I'm going to sacrifice my life to make sure that America can smash Belizean economics and take over, and like that kind of stuff. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Right? We can't. But anyway, so the simple commandments, when they asked him, right, they were filled with great admiration. I'm in verse 25 of chapter 5, Sister Teresa, right? So the Vasius and Sudras were filled with great admiration and asked Issa how they should pray so as not to lose their eternal joy. His answer: worship not idols, for they hear you not. Listen not to the Vedas, for their truth is counterfeit. Right? Never put yourself in the first place. That's a hard one for a modern person to hear, honey. What? That's a hard one for a modern person to hear. What? You're not first? Right? That is, he's telling them, he's giving them defense against the spirit of narcissism, right? This is such a narcissistic age. He's like, don't do that, okay? Learn how to at least put yourself second. Find somebody you can put before you, man. Check yourself, right? Never put yourself first in the first place, and never humiliate your neighbor, right? Never humiliate your neighbor. Never humiliate your neighbor. He didn't say never humiliate anyone. I'm just going to put that out there. He didn't say never humiliate anyone. Don't humiliate others. He said never humiliate your neighbor. Who's your neighbor? You know who your neighbor is? Right? Your neighbor should be the person who you have things in common. They live next to you. You live close. Their kid falls down outside. You put a Band-Aid on their knee. Your kid's thirsty. They get a drink of water from the neighbor, right? So these people whose lives are connected to yours in a social functioning system for the benefit of all, that's your neighbor, right? So you don't want to humiliate your neighbor, right? Now, He had just recently got done humiliating those higher classes. Why? How can Yeshua talk so much? I mean, come on. We know by the time he got old, honey, he was good and humiliating plenty folks. They weren't his neighbor, right? It's different, right? Help the poor, support the weak, do ill to no one, and covet not that which you have not, and which you see belongs to another. Mind your business. Be grateful. Help people that need it. Help people that need it. That's why it's better to tithe directly to the poor, because you cannot trust these shepherds who are scattering the sheep. You can't put your offering in the hands of these shepherds and so-called Levites and them. You can't put your offerings and your alms and stuff in their hands. Just give it directly to the poor, because you need to be supporting the people that need support. Hallelujah. Like, it ain't hard. All that stuff Paul talking about, and I do that which I don't, and I don't do that which I do, and the battle in itself. Like, what's so hard about giving somebody a sandwich that's hungry? That ain't hard. No, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to do all that. It don't take all that. It don't. If only, I didn't want to have sex, I'd be more holy. And all that stuff. Who's going through all that? Get you a woman, sit down somewhere and do something and help somebody somewhere. All that belly button gazing he's doing, that narcissism, right? Me. Yeshua's like, right? Like the two extremes, right? Always worried about what somebody else is doing, and you can't get out your own belly button. Like, listen, where's your equilibrium? Balance out here. If you want to mind other people's business, mind it so that you know how to actually help. You want to look at what other people got, do it so that you can evaluate who to help. Right? Yes, pay attention to what other people have. You're not supposed to be like, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how they're doing. No. Well, they're good over there. They're good in that Lexus and all this. They're fine. But this one over here at the bus stop looked like she done missed the bus. She always at that bus stop. She need a car. We need to get her a car. Not you look at the Lexus and you already drive a car, a perfectly good car. So you looking at the person with the Lexus, you are jealous of the Lexus. So now what you do is you go buy a Lexus. Now you're spending twice as much for the Lexus than you were for the car that you already had. When what you could have done was, rather than look at the person with the Lexus and what they want, you could have looked at the person with no car and said, you know what? In truth, I was going to upgrade and buy a new car, but I don't really need a new car. So I'm just going to keep my car and give this person a car. And don't tell me people don't give away cars in real life, because I have both received cars that people have given me, perfectly good working inspected cars, and I have given away cars, perfectly good inspected working cars. So yeah, in real life it happens, and I'm not the only person that does it, okay? It's a whole dynamic, it's a whole paradigm shift, and so it changes the whole social dynamic. And that's why they didn't like him, because it's not enough for the evildoers to just have a Lexus and you don't have a car. They need you to wish you had their Lexus. Right? They need you to have that experience, because they're siphoning your energy. They're literally feeding off of your energy. So he's like, don't even worry about that. Who cares if they got a Lexus? You want a Lexus? Yeah? No? Okay, it don't matter. You rather walk. You like the bus because you get to talk to people. And if you had a car, you wouldn't talk to people. And then you just go straight to work and then come straight home. So the bus lets you talk to people. Ride the bus. Don't you let nobody tell you, you work at that job, you make all that money, and you still ride the bus. Ratchet. Ain't got nothing to show for you. What do you mean I ain't got nothing to show for all the years I've been at that good paying job? I got some real fly friends that I talk to every day on the bus. It's a beautiful life. What do you mean? I'm stacking my bread. I don't need a car. The bus literally drives past my house and drives past the job. Right? Anyway, we've been on here an hour and some change. I didn't mean to be so long, but thank you for enjoying Going Beyond the Bible in our morning session today. I am Jedi, Empress Jedi, the Rabble Rouser, for those of you who didn't catch that in the beginning or whatever. And please, if you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel Black Enlightainment. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you're already on Black Enlightainment. Go to the playlist, The Culture, and tell me what you think of them songs. And I know they're terrible sound quality. That's just me on a broken phone and a broken laptop that made those songs. So it is what it is, but you can get the content, right? You can get the content, and you can tell me how you feel. And if you know people in the business, send them my way, because clearly I need help. You know, the songs don't have the hooks and the choruses and none of that stuff. It's just like the basic song. But you can get a feel for the vibe. So with that, guys, I'm gonna let you guys off of here because I really didn't mean to keep you so long. I just y'all know I get carried away here. So I hope this blessed you guys. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. For those who are going to be entering the Shabbat tonight, happy Sabbath prep day. We've got like so much laundry to do, guys, because we keep doing the thing where you just like, just grab a few outfits. Like whoever feels like going to the laundromat will just tell the other people like, here, give me a few outfits. I'll take a few outfits, right? And when you do that, little by little by little, that pile of stuff you're not washing gets bigger, bigger, bigger. And so now we're to the place, and we don't have like a super lot of clothes, because remember, we've only been here for a few months, and we were in the tropics. So winter clothes is not something we have an abundance of at all. We got like some clothes. We're not naked, but so it don't take long before it's like, we don't have anything to wear. And not even like, for me, it's to the point of like, not that I don't have anything to wear, but I don't have anything sensible to wear. Like, I don't be feeling that fancy. It's down to the fancy stuff. And I like my little sweats. And you see, I look the same all the time. If I could have 100 of these, I got quite a few of them. But if I could have 100 of these, red, black, and gray, and white, then I could just be good, So anyway, so we got lots of cleaning and stuff to do for Sabbath prep. And I hope y'all have a blessed weekend. And I don't know if I'll be on live or not over to wait. Yes, it is. It's Friday. I'm like, am I a day? Listen, I've been a day off all week. Everybody's been correcting me. So I'm just making sure I am actually on the right day now. Right? And I am. So yeah, I'm not sure how we'll handle the weekend. I just really follow the vibes with that, whether I've been on the weekend. But if I'm not going to go live, I will go ahead and share on Facebook something probably from the YouTube archives, or maybe just reshare something from the Facebook archives. So I'll make sure to still feed you guys, even if I don't come on live. All right. So thanks for watching. Thank you, Teresa. Any notes that you took during that we didn't talk about, we can when we get on next time, we can have a flashback, and you can let's have a talk about Sabbath. Yeah, we should have a talk about Sabbath. But any of the notes that you took, or any of the things that you observed from our reading today, Sister Teresa, share with us when we're on next Thursday, okay? Because because of the time do I want to well, what the heck? Nobody's on here. What do we care? Do you want to share? Did you have some thoughts that you want to share? Because why wouldn't we get it while it's fresh if you have the time? Or do you want to hold your thoughts until next time? That's up to you. I mean, we're an hour and something. In truth, my goal is for Black Enlightainment to be broadcasting from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So obviously that wouldn't just all be me, because good Lord, but just to have the content there so that, it doesn't hurt people to do a thorough study. Yeah. Okay, cool. Recap on Thursday. So with that, guys, I'm out of here. And y'all be safe. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be glorified, magnified, and praised. And I'm out.